every sign's strongest hours today, and the one stretch that suits routine work rather than fresh starts are coming in this reading. Welcome and a calm good morning to you. One thing first, so you picked the right sign. These readings are based on your Vedic Moon sign, the sidereal moon, not your sun sign, and every transit house is counted from that moon. Readings today are from your moon sign. The link below finds yours in 10 seconds. Now the shape of the day. Anchored to New Delhi. It is Saturday, a day that rewards steady, patient effort. The Tithi is Krishna Dashami, running until 1:59 in the afternoon, which supports completing and clearing rather than launching. Rohini holds the moon until 4:51 in the afternoon, a nourishing, growing star that favors care, craft, and things you want to last. Rahu Kala falls from 9:06 to 10:46 in the morning. Keep that stretch for routine work and begin anything fresh a little after it. Aries, today favors quiet clarity about what you actually value, and that clarity is easier to reach than usual. Yesterday, your attention turned homeward. With the Sun, Mercury, and an exalted Jupiter gathered in your fourth house, and that inward pull likely made the day feel softer and slower than your natural pace. For work and money, the moon sits exalted in your second house, the house of money, possessions, and what you value, which supports a calm review of what you earn and what you keep. Choose one number to look at properly before the Tithi ends at 1:59 in the afternoon. Aries, your period lord Saturn is retrograde in Pisces in your 12th house, the house of rest and letting go. So in relationships, the kind gesture matters more than the winning argument. You are ruled by Mars, and courage reaches you before caution does. So let that courage take the shape of patience today. On energy, the moon steps into your third house at 3:48 at night tomorrow. So keep effort steady rather than sudden. That review of what you value lands well when you close it gently. Somewhere today, offer your seat, your place in line, or a stretch of your time to someone who needs it more, expecting nothing back. May something small go beautifully right for you today. Taurus, today rewards patience over pace and the steady hand you already have. Yesterday, the moon opened in your house of self, vitality, and how you come across. So you likely felt more settled inside yourself than usual and closer to home. At work, Saturn is your period lord in Pisces and retrograde in your 11th house of gains, networks, and hopes, casting its full third aspect. This favors reviewing older commitments and finishing what was left half done rather than launching something new. Let the morning hours before Rahu Kala, 9:06 to 10:46 in the morning, hold your most careful task. In relationships, Taurus, Venus rules you, and you build slowly, and you build things that hold. Venus sits debilitated in your fifth house of joy, romance, and creativity, so warmth may want quieter, simpler expression today. Say the plain thing instead of the polished thing. For energy, the exalted moon in your own sign keeps you grounded until it moves into your second house of family and speech at 3:48 at night tomorrow. Rest early. The settling that began yesterday completes today, and one gentle way to honor it. Sit with someone who has been struggling to learn something and patiently show them, again, expecting nothing back. Carry this lightly and have a truly good day. Gemini, Today favors a quiet finish and a fresh beginning, and both of them belong to you. Yesterday, the moon sat in your 12th house of rest, retreat, and letting go, so the day likely asked you to slow down more than you planned. In work and money, Saturn is your period lord today, moving retrograde in Pisces through your 10th house of career and public standing, which supports reviewing and refinishing what you have already built rather than launching something untested. Mercury rules you, Gemini, and curiosity is your engine. So let that engine reread the details instead of chasing the new. In relationships, connection costs you no effort. And with the moon still in that 12th house of release, a softer, fewer words presence serves you better than persuading anyone. For energy, the moon moves into your first house of body and self at 3:48 at night tomorrow, so treat today as a gentle wind down and protect your sleep. That is the payoff promised at the start. The quiet you keep today becomes the strength you carry into tomorrow. As a small act of care, pass on something useful you no longer need: a book, a tool, a quote, to someone who genuinely needs it, and let that be the whole of it. The day is yours to shape. Shape it kindly. Cancer, today favors letting your circle know what you actually think because the room already trusts your read of it. Yesterday's gathering in your 11th house of gains, friends, and wider networks likely left you feeling carried by good company and a little spent by it. At work, that same 11th house still supports asking friends and colleagues for the introduction or the honest opinion you have been circling. Make the ask before the moon shifts into your 12th house of rest and retreat at 3:48 at night tomorrow. And note what one conversation opens up. In relationships, Saturn, your period lord, moves retrograde through your 9th house of faith and mentors, which slows big verdicts and rewards revisiting an older understanding. Cancer, you read a room before anyone in it says so. And the moon that rules you is why that instinct is real rather than imagined. For energy, Saturday and the Rohini stretch until late afternoon suit steady, unhurried work rather than sprinting. That open conversation is the payoff. End the day by saying the encouraging word you have been meaning to say to someone, unprompted, expecting nothing at all in return, simply because they deserve to hear it. Move through today at your own pace. It is the right one. Leo, today favors letting your work speak in public, quietly and well. Yesterday, the sky already had you carrying your professional life with an easy grip, and that steadiness likely made ordinary duties feel lighter than usual. The exalted moon still stands in your 10th house of career and public standing, which supports finishing visible work with care rather than starting something loud. Your period lord, Saturn, is moving backward through Pisces in your 8th house of shared resources and things held jointly. So this is a good window to review a shared expense or an old agreement slowly before 1:59 in the afternoon if you want the calmest hours for it. In relationships, Leo, your ruler is the sun, and warmth genuinely arrives ahead of you. Before you have spoken a word, trust that today, instead of explaining yourself, someone may respond to your presence more than your argument. For energy, keep the day's second half unhurried, since the moon only shifts into your 11th house of gains and friendships late tonight. So the arc is simple: steady visibility now, easier company later. As your act of care, Quietly finish a small chore that was never yours and say nothing about it. May the day meet you kindly and leave you a little lighter. Virgo, today favors depth over reach. One careful pass through what you already know serves you better than starting something new. Yesterday, your mind moved through the ninth house of belief, learning, and long journeys, so the day likely felt broad and generous in thought. That same ninth house still holds your moon now, which means study, planning, and long view thinking are well supported at work. Give your best hour to the reading or the research you keep postponing. Saturn, your period lord, sits retrograde in your seventh house of partnership and casts its full aspect back across your sign, so agreements move slowly and reviews come around again. Virgo, precision is instinct for you, and quiet service is the shape your care takes, so let that patience answer the delay rather than pressure. Mars in your 10th house of work casts its full aspect on your 4th, which can pull work energy into home matters. Keep the promised evening. The moon shifts into the 10th house at 3:48 at night tomorrow. So today's careful thinking becomes tomorrow's visible action. Before the day closes, thank someone whose work usually goes unnoticed, expecting nothing back. Your free full chart is waiting on the website whenever you want to go deeper. Whatever today asks of you, you have met harder days than this. Libra, today favors quiet depth over wide reach, and your steadiness in the room is the whole advantage. Yesterday already asked for a gentler pace. With the moon in your 8th house of shared resources and deep change, and you likely felt that softness. That same house still holds the moon now. So money conversations do best when they are joint ones. A shared budget, a repayment, a pooled cost. Saturn, your period lord, moves retrograde in Pisces in your 6th house of work and daily service, which supports revisiting a task you left half finished rather than starting something new. Venus rules you, Libra, and you find the balance point in almost any room, which is exactly what a tense partnership talk needs today. Keep your listening longer than your answering. The Chandrashtama window applies for you today and closes at 3:48 at night tomorrow, when the moon steps into your 9th house of meaning and travel. Until then, eat properly, sleep earlier, and let plans stay flexible. So the depth you carried through yesterday softens into openness by then. If someone you know is unwell, sit with them a while and let them set the pace of the visit. Let today be useful rather than perfect. Scorpio, today favors the honest conversation you have been circling because the mind is steady enough to hold it. That steadiness carried over from the last day when partnership matters were already sitting close to the surface. The moon is exalted in your 7th house, the house of partnership and close alliances. So at work, this supports collaboration over solo push. Bring the proposal to the person who has to say yes, ideally before 1:59 in the afternoon while the Tithi still holds. Saturn, your period lord, is retrograde in Pisces in the 5th, so a plan you set aside asks to be reviewed rather than rebuilt. In relationships, Jupiter is exalted in your 9th house of meaning and guidance and casts its full 5th aspect, which widens a small talk into a real one. Scorpio, you go deep where others skim, and your resilience is easy to underestimate. For energy, pace yourself into the evening. The moon shifts houses late at night, so an early rest serves you. Rohini runs until 4:51 in the afternoon, a kind window for anything that needs care. Somewhere today, share food with someone who is hungry, quietly expecting nothing in return. Walk gently today and let the day come to you. Sagittarius, today your mind carries the day with unusual ease, and the honest work in front of you rewards steady attention. Yesterday already gave you that easy competence, and you likely felt capable in ordinary tasks without straining for it. The moon rides in your sixth house of daily work, health, and routine, so this is a good window for clearing the small backlog that has been quietly waiting. Your period lord Saturn sits retrograde in your fourth house of home and inner ground, casting its full 10th aspect, which favors reviewing what you have already built rather than launching something untested. Money matters like slow, checked steps today. In relationships, Sagittarius, Mars sits in your seventh house of partnership and casts its full seventh aspect back, so conversations can arrive with more heat than you intended. Slow your pace and say the plainer thing. The moon moves into that same house of partnership at 3:48 at night tomorrow, so warmth is gathering there. For energy, Rohini runs until 4:51 in the afternoon, a soft stretch for rest. Jupiter rules you, and optimism is your default. The honest search matters more to you than arriving. Before the day closes, set out water or a little food for the birds or a stray animal, asking nothing back. May today bring you one moment worth remembering. Capricorn, today favors quiet partnership more than solo output, and that suits you. Yesterday already carried that gathered quality with the Sun, Mercury, and an exalted Jupiter all sitting in the seventh from your sign, and it likely felt like other people were doing the arriving. Those same three still cast their full seventh aspect straight back across your chart. So, in work and money, the useful move is a conversation rather than a memo. Saturn, your period lord, is retrograde in Pisces in your third house of effort and communication, which means revisiting something you already drafted serves you better than starting fresh. In relationships, Capricorn, that seventh house weight asks you to let the other person set the pace of the exchange. You are ruled by Saturn. You play the long game by nature, not by discipline, and that patience is exactly what today rewards. For energy, Mars sits in the sixth of daily work and effort, casting its full eighth aspect. So pace yourself through the afternoon and note the moon shifts into that same sixth house late tonight, easing you toward routine. The gathering settles into steadiness. Somewhere today, let someone finish speaking without hurrying them, giving them your full attention and nothing else. Go easy on yourself today. The stars are patient, and you can be too. Aquarius, today favors steadiness close to home, and that quiet ground is where your best thinking starts. Yesterday, the moon opened in your house 4, home, family, and your inner ground, so your mind was likely leaning toward familiar walls and familiar people. For work and money, Saturn, your ruler, sits in Pisces in your second house of income and what you hold, and it is retrograde, which supports reviewing and tidying what you already earn rather than chasing something new. Look again at one commitment you set up months ago, and you may find a small, satisfying correction waiting there. Aquarius, in relationships, that same fourth house pull means you connect best in a settled setting rather than a busy one. So keep conversations at home, unhurried, and simple. And here is that correction paying off. When you speak from steady ground, people hear the angle only you would have thought of because you genuinely see from a place nobody else tried. For energy, treat the Rahu Kala window from 9:06 to 10:46 in the morning as a slower stretch and let the day wind down naturally as the moon prepares to step into your fifth house of expression. The day settles where it began, on your own ground. If someone near you is carrying something heavy, literally or practically, take part of the weight without being asked and without expecting anything for it. Wishing you a calm and steady day ahead. Pisces, today favors the kind word you have been carrying but have not yet said aloud. Yesterday, your mind carried the day easily, and that lightness is still with you. The moon sits in your third house of courage, siblings and short journeys, which support small brave steps at work. Send the message. Ask the plain question. Make the short trip you keep postponing. Jupiter, exalted in your fifth house of creativity and mind, casts its full ninth aspect. So an idea you sketched this morning may hold more than it looks. In relationships, Pisces, Venus in your seventh house of partnership casts its full seventh aspect back toward you, which makes honest, unhurried conversation the best use of this Saturday. If someone close has been quiet, meet them where they are rather than asking them to explain. For energy, Saturn, your period lord, is retrograde in your first house, so the day rewards a slower pace and repeated work rather than new strain. Keep effort steady before Rohini closes at 4:51 in the afternoon. The moon shifts into your fourth house of home and peace late tonight, closing the stretch gently. Before that, call or visit someone who has been alone lately and simply stay with them a while. Let today be simple. That is enough. May this day treat you gently and may you meet it with the steadiness you already carry. Take what fits your life and leave the rest. The sky suggests it never decides for you. If one small thing stays with you today, let it be kindness. Share a meal with someone who has less, or simply give a friend your full attention while they talk, asking nothing in return. That is enough. Thank you for spending these few quiet minutes here with me. If today's sky was useful, subscribing keeps it coming every morning.